guys, it's Whitney. Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be starting some seeds for my spring garden, and I'm so excited that spring is right around the corner because this winter has been nuts. So we've been having snowstorm after snowstorm after snowstorm, and I love the snow, but I could use some sunshine. A few things I wanted to share with you in this video are first, how to figure out when to start your seeds indoors. So I'm going to share with you the system that I've put together for myself using the almanac and using past experiences that's kind of helped me figure out a seed starting plan for myself, and hopefully it can help you out when you're planning when to start your seeds indoors as well. And then secondly, we're going to go over the materials that you're going to need when you're starting your seeds indoors, including lighting. Now, last year I made a DIY grow light system. I can link that video up in the eye and down below if you want to take a peek at that. And then thirdly, we're going to plant some seeds together. I'm going to show you how to do that process as well. All right, so let's talk about a system that you can create for figuring out when you need to start your seeds indoors. First things first, you're going to need to know what zone you live in. Super easy to find out. Just go on Google, type in what zone am I, put your zip code, and it should tell you what you are. I am personally in a zone 6A, so that means for me, usually my first frost date is around October 15th, and my last frost date is between May 1st and May 15th. These are all estimates and they all kind of vary. But on the Almanac's website, it does say my average last frost date is April 23rd. And I put all of my seedlings in the ground on May 1st, and we had snow on May 10th. So this year, I'm bumping everything back about a week to 10 days so I can put all of my transplants in the ground on May 15th so we can avoid that struggle, because it put a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on my little seedlings and it stunted their growth. So we're not going to do that again. We're going to learn from our experience, and I'm just going to move everything back to May 15th. Struggle for those 2 weeks because I'm going to be so excited to put everything in the ground, but it'll be worth it because I'll have prettier flowers and happier veggies. So once you figure out what zone you're in, you're going to want to take an inventory of the seeds that you have. So I keep all of my seeds in this old little wooden wine box, and if you don't have seeds already and you're just looking to buy some seeds, really think about what it is that you're going to want to grow and want to actually eat, because I have made this mistake so many times before where I will grow 6 or 7 different varieties of tomatoes and I don't even like tomatoes, and now I'm trying to pawn off all these tomatoes to my neighbors, and it's kind of a mess, but there's a solution to that. If you do end up making this mistake and you have squash and eggplants and tomatoes coming out of your ears, you can donate them to a local food pantry and help the less fortunate. So it's not actually bad if you end up making this mistake. You can help others out. But if you have limited garden space and you're looking to feed your family, make sure you're growing things that you and your family likes to eat. So after you have an inventory of the seeds that you already have, or a wish list of seeds that you want to plant, write them down in a notebook. I highly suggest getting a garden notebook for all of your garden notes. I've been using this notebook for a couple years now. In my garden notebook, I actually tape down the little seed packets that I use, and then I write in notes underneath if they performed well, if they didn't perform well, things that I could do better if I want to plant more of them. It's just kind of a reference for me because sometimes I forget, and this helps me remember. I broke my seed inventory up into 2 pages. I have veggies on one page and flowers on the next page. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to have 4 columns. You could do this in Excel or you could do this in Google Docs. Now, if you're going to be succession sowing and you're going to be starting more plants indoors later on, you could break this up into even more columns. But for now, we're just talking about starting your indoor plants for spring. So you're going to have your seed here, whatever it is, your vegetable or your flower. You're going to have your indoor start date, you're going to have your transplant date, and you're going to have your outdoor start date. So how do you get these dates, you ask? So to get these dates, you're going to go to the Almanac's website, almanac. It's almanac.com, type in your zip code, and it's going to kind of generate a calendar for you. Now, they have 2 separate kind of calendars. They have a frost date calendar and they have a moon date calendar. Now, I really wanted to go by the moon date calendar because I thought that'd be a little whimsical and fun. But the moon dates tend to be about a week earlier than the frost dates. And with my experience of having that snow on like May 10th, I'm going to stick to the later frost date calendar so my seedlings don't suffer. The Almanac kind of gives you a date range for all the specific columns for when to start your seeds indoors, when to transplant them out, and when to start them out. Now, since my Almanac is telling me that my last frost date is around April 23rd, that's what it is kind of calibrating this calendar to. So the Almanac calendar kind of gives you like a little time frame. So let's say for broccoli, if you're going by the frost date, you can start your seeds indoors from February 25th through March 11th. So since the Almanac is giving me my average last frost date is a little bit earlier than I want to plan out, I'm just going on the end of the date range for the frost dates on the Almanac's calendar. So let's talk about the materials that you're going to need when you're starting your seeds. First, you're going to need seed starting mix. So real quick, I just wanted to explain the differences between seed starting mix, potting soil, and garden soil. Now these are 3 different brands of seed starting mix. This is the Jiffy that you can buy at Walmart, Miracle Grow, you can pretty much buy anywhere. And if you're looking to start an organic garden, the Espoma Organic Seed Starting Mix is great. I used all 3 of these and they've all worked out really well for me. It just depends on your budget and if you're planning on doing an organic garden or not. So seed starting mix is definitely the ideal environment for starting your seeds. There's no actual soil in it. It's very, very light and fluffy, typically made of peat moss, vermiculite, perlite, and coconut hair. So seed starting mix is pretty much foolproof. It's the ideal environment for your seeds because it doesn't have to compete with anything. Now potting soil, you can start seeds in potting soil, but sometimes it contains heavy fertilizers that might burn your seedlings. I've had this happen to my seeds before, so that's why I typically stick to just using seed starting mix. Once my seeds germinate and get a couple sets of true leaves, I will transplant them into potting soil so they can get the fertilizer that they need. Sometimes potting soils can contain field soil that might have some weed seeds that will compete with your seeds that you're starting. I would definitely stay away from using garden soil to start your seeds. It's not impossible, it's just definitely not ideal. The soil's a little bit too dense for your seeds to create a nice root system. Garden soil might contain diseases that'll be a little bit tough on your little baby seedlings and might introduce some weed competing seeds. But definitely steer clear of garden soil. If you are going to use a potting soil, try to get one that doesn't have any fertilizer in it. But if you want the best ideal environment, get some seed starting mix. And then next you're going to need something to start your seeds in. You can buy seed starting kits like this where they have a little plastic dome that helps keep moisture in while the seeds are germinating, and they have a little like cell tray like this. You can also reuse your little containers that you get nursery starts in, like a little 3-pack like this. These little guys came in a microgreen starter pack from Restaurant Depot, but you can definitely reuse these. And then just your standard little square pots, these are great as well, especially if you're gonna be starting bigger plants like cabbages and you don't wanna transplant them from a little cell into something bigger. You can just go ahead and start them in these. And then you're gonna need some plant markers. You can buy these usually a 10-pack at the dollar store for $1, and then you can cut up some recycled plastic materials. This is an old milk jug and this is an old yogurt container. But my recent favorite find is if you have a set of old blinds, you can just cut the blinds up into about this size of length and use them as markers as well. I can't find any to show you, but those worked out really well too. And then you're gonna need your seeds. Today we're gonna be starting some snapdragons and some violas. Now these are snapdragon pods that I collected from my snapdragons that I planted from seed last year, and we're gonna be using some of these seeds this year. Now the reason you want to wash out all the little containers you're going to be planting in is because you don't want to transfer any sort of disease or fungus that was living in here from the previous plant. So just soak them in some warm soapy water, give them a wash down and rinse them off, and you'll be good to go. So once you have all of your containers washed, we're going to get our seed starting mix pre-moistened. I'm just going to pour some seed starting mix in here, enough to where it's manageable, not like crazy full. And I'm just going to add in some water. So you're gonna mix this together by hand, and the consistency you're looking for is kind of like brownie batter, where you can squeeze it and it'll hold its shape, but if you squeeze it really, really hard, water is not gonna be pouring out of my hands. So now you're gonna want to get like a little like planting trough. I'm gonna be using this one because there are some holes in the corners of this, so I can't use this to actually put my containers in, because once I water it from the bottom, the water's gonna pour out of the little holes. So I'm gonna use this as kind of like a little planting trough, so it'll catch all of the extra soil. So I'm just gonna start with this one right here, and I'm gonna fill all of my little cells with my pre-moistened seed starting mix. So once my cells are like kind of filled in, I didn't press them down. I'm just gonna kind of lightly tamp down each cell just to get out any air pockets that are in the soil. You don't want air pockets because once you water your seeds in, the water will kind of make all of the soil compact. Like see, like this one, there's not a lot of soil in there. There was a big old air pocket, and you don't want the air pockets in there because your seeds can get displaced and I won't have enough soil to grow. So you just want to make sure, and I'm not pressing down too hard, just kind of tamping it down with my fingers. And then in the cells that had quite a bit of air pockets, I'm just going to be kind of filling those in a little bit more. Before I plant any seeds, I make my little label so I know exactly what it is, because I have confused myself before. So I just put the name, the blend, the date that I started the seeds, and if it's annual or perennial. So just A or P for annual or perennial. These are seeds that I saved from last year. Let me show you if you are harvesting your snapdragon seeds. So this is a little seed pod from a snapdragon flower. So look at all of the seeds you get from one snapdragon pod. Isn't that crazy? I'm just sprinkling like trying to keep it to like 4 little seeds per pod, so I don't have to do that much thinning later. But with seeds this tiny, it's kind of inevitable you're gonna have to do quite a bit of thinning. All right, so once you have your seeds down, you're literally just going to press them right into the soil. You're not covering, you're just kind of pressing them down. And then these will germinate in about 8 to 14 days. Now, once you have all your seeds in there and they're lightly tamped down, we're just going to very lightly water them in. This will help the seeds settle and the rest of the soil settle. All right, so this is what you should have. Now we're going to put this into our tray and pot up the rest of them. You can cut down your little marker so you can stick it in there and put your lid right on. So as soon as these germinate, you can take the lid off, and then you're going to want to bottom water. So bottom water is basically you're watering on the inside of the tray and then letting the plants soak up as much water as they need instead of watering from the top. So just bottom water. Now we're going to be planting some violas. It's pretty much the same thing that we did with the snapdragons. The seeds are still quite small, but we are going to cover these with 1/4 inch of soil. I have a whole tray of the Ford Hook snapdragons. I have this cell pack of violas, these 2 3-packs of violas, and then the rest of these are snapdragons. All right, I'm going to put my little plastic toppers on them, and let's go put them under the grow lights. Let's talk about the 3 things that you need to know when you're looking for your grow lights. So you have lumens, Kelvin, and watts. So lumens is just a measurement of light. So the higher the lumen, the brighter the light is going to be. So for grow lights, we're trying to mimic daylight and sunshine. So you're going to need between a 2000 and a 3000 lumen bulb. Now Kelvin is the color temperature of the light. So the higher the Kelvin, the closer to daylight you are going to get. So the higher the better. You're going to need between 4500 and 6500 Kelvin. Watts is something that you don't really need to worry about. It has nothing to do with your plants. It's just the amount of electricity that you will be using. Now these over here are the Barina LED T5 light bulbs. They're kind of like shop light bulbs that I've been using for a couple years, and I've had so much success with them. I highly, highly, highly recommend these light bulbs. They are 2200 lumens, which is perfect. They're 6500 Kelvin, which is right on that higher end, which is perfect. And they only use 20 watts of electricity. So these are fantastic. I will have them linked below if you want to check them out. Feel free to screenshot this so you know the exact number of lumens and Kelvin to be looking for. Well, I hope this video helped you out on your seed starting journey. If you like videos like this, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I would love to have you here. This channel is dedicated to helping you DIY a cozy home with thrift flips, garden content, DIYs, and home product review. All right, I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.